Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. Well, attorney at law Farai Hove Masaisai is a graduate of the prestigious College of Law in London and gained a Master's of Sports and Entertainment Law from Nottingham Law School before achieving senior partner status as Hove and Associates. Attorney at law Mr. Masaisai practiced both civil and criminal law in London, subsequent to which spent 3 years practicing and shadowing senior attorneys and barristers in the High Court civil litigation matters in Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Hove Masaisai is very passionate about issues surrounding sexual harassment, and he's here to discuss with us the legal parameters and avenues one can take when sexual harassment occurs in the workplace. Welcome. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Now, I heard that you're very passionate about issues surrounding sexual harassment. What led to this particular field?
Well, in terms of sexual harassment, well, it's a topical issue right now in our country. In terms of my involvement in that, basically clients have retained us, the firm, Hove and Associates, to represent them in the industrial court with regards to those sort of matters. We don't have really a legislation to govern it, so we are guided by the rules of the judges. So the judges, they make common law, as opposed to Parliament, they make statutes. So there is common law, there are decisions of industrial court judges that have defined what sexual harassment is, and it unfortunately is more prevalent than not in our jurisdiction. So I'm here to assist or talk about the issue of sexual harassment.
Now, signs of sexual harassment may not be that obvious.
Yes.
Many times you may think it's just somebody being a little bit friendly or too friendly, perhaps.
Yes.
And you may not want to report instances like that because they may victimize you, depending on whether it's a boss and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So why do you think it's so difficult, though, to identify signs of sexual harassment? Can you draw some lines for us?
Well, I think it's difficult because it's a real taboo topic.
Okay.
You know, for some reason or another, persons don't educate themselves about it enough. It is the duty of the employer to provide a safe environment for the employees. All right. So if it is that an employee feels uncomfortable, that duty falls on the employer to create that good and comfortable work environment. With regards to sexual harassment takes multiple forms. It can take a form of just a compliment, but it can be a continuous compliment of a lady's body part or how she dresses or that sort of thing. And it doesn't just affect us in terms of employers. It can affect you with employees and contractors. The employer has a duty to ensure that if you have to do work with an outside contractor, you are in a comfortable environment. And it's not how the person who says the compliment feels about the compliment. It's how the individual who receives it takes it. All right. So it is the effect that it has on you that can make it amount to sexual harassment.
Right. So you raised the point that it could be somebody complimenting you repeatedly.
Repeatedly. So it has to be a continuous form of harassment. So a one-off compliment and the person never talks to you ever again cannot really amount to harassment per se. But if it's every other day or every day and that sort of thing, touching, unwanted touching. I always tell my employees that anything you wouldn't say to a female employee with your wife right next to you.
That's a good.
Don't say.
That's a good way to put it.
So it's any sexual behavior or communication in a work environment can amount to sexual harassment. So you need to leave that at the door before you get into the workplace. The workplace is for work. So things like we have a WhatsApp group. You don't send any pornographic material, any sexual material on that group once it's a work-related group. Maybe it's a group with your friends, you can do that. But sexual harassment can take the form of just sending a text. You know, the text could be of a picture, and you're just asking your co-worker how you find the swimsuit look or something like that. That can be seen as offensive, and it can qualify as sexual harassment. Wow. All right. The burden is on the employer to educate their employees as to what constitutes sexual harassment. All right. Unfortunately, we don't have sexual harassment legislation in our jurisdiction, which is an unfortunate thing. We should be moving in that direction. It shouldn't be up to the courts to decide what is sexual harassment. It should be standard. All right. At the very least, every employer should have a policy as to what to guide their employees, so no one could come and say, "But boss, you never tell me I couldn't do this." You know, you need to guide your employees. You need to structure them, let them know that in a work environment, this is the kind of behavior that is expected and what is not expected.
Now, I heard once that, actually I was reading somewhere, trying to prepare for this interview though, that it actually depends on you, the individual, and how you perceive that to be. So for instance, if somebody tells me something or you know, gives me a compliment, for instance, I may take it one way, and somebody else may be offended. What do you do in that case? Is there a line?
No, it's how you take it.
Okay.
The burden is not on how I believe you would have felt about it.
But then it confuses you as the individual, because for instance, in work you have people who are very, you know, some of the gentlemen, they're like, yes, love, no, honey, and it's fine.
We can recall the, I think last year with Chris Gale in Australia.
Yes.
So he told the journalist, don't blush, darling. All right?
Don't blush, baby.
Or don't blush, baby. But maybe in his culture, in Jamaica, that would not have been seen as offensive. But in Australia, they saw that as sort of like sexual harassment. He was blacklisted. He was, some sponsorship deals left. He got taken off some matches for his club and that sort of thing. So it is how the person receiving it perceives what you are saying.
Okay.
All right? And it can take the form of words. It can take the form of just messaging. It can take the form of touch. Yeah.
What about the way some women dress, for instance? Some people say, you look for that.
Well, then you're blaming the victim.
Right. So in an instance like that, what are your, in terms of the legal parameters and all?
Well, in a work environment, you dress professionally. Once you dress professionally,
you know, there are different levels of professionalism now. In some cases, anyways. Yeah.
I know there are different levels of professionalism, but you can't blame the victim. You know, if it is that you find someone is looking sexy in work, keep that opinion to yourself, because you're in work.
And then is it job of do you think it's a job of the employer as well to intervene and pull women up, or even men, when their pants are too tight or their skirts are too short?
Correct. So most employers have a policy in terms of dress. All right, so you would see obviously in the banks, they actually put them in uniforms, so that there's no ambiguity in terms of how you dress. Likewise, for say attorneys, we always dress in suits, and we keep it strictly formal. So the burden is on the employer. The burden is on the employer, because at the end of the day, when persons take matters, say, to the industrial court, they very rarely sue the individual who has offended them. They sue the employer, because the employer has the money and the employer has the duty of care owed to keep my work environment safe. So they are normally the persons, the union on the one hand, who represents the worker, and then the employers who, unfortunately, if you didn't have a sexual harassment policy, you'd suffer in the end.
Right. Yes. So let's paint a picture here. So in the event that so I'm in a work environment, and let's say I know that somebody is, or I think somebody is being sexually harassed, but they're not the type of person to report it, perhaps because they think they may be victimized or they may lose their jobs, etc. What is my responsibility?
Well, if it's your colleague, I would advise them to, tell the person to stop, all right? If it is that person continues with it, they should report it to their supervisor. If it is the supervisor is the person who actually is doing the sexual harassment, then they should escalate it probably to the manager. But there should be a grievance procedure within every organization in which to deal with it. Because if there's no such grievance procedure, then it tends to boil over into the courts. And it can be, embarrassing for the employers, because the employer, no one would want to work for an employer who encourages acts of sexual harassment. All right, so I believe the Employers Consultative Association, their chairman, he did an article in one of the newspapers on the weekend, discussing the issue of sexual harassment in the workplace, and so the responsibility falls squarely on the employers to educate their employees, provide a sufficient grievance procedure to deal with the issues amicably, or else it will end up in the courts. And then you'd have to pay significant sums in compensation.
So the onus is with the employer now.
Yes.
In the event that the perpetrator is the employer,
in the event that
and he's malicious, for instance, and the victim is afraid of losing their jobs, what advice do you have for them?
Well, if the perpetrator is indeed the employer, then the only option you would have is to take it to the courts. Now, the employee may not want to be victimized in the sense that they may get blacklisted from other similar employers. And that's why you have what you call non-disclosure agreements, which is very prevalent for these kind of matters. I don't think any of them have been openly disclosed in terms of the figures, the settlement, and that sort of thing. So it keeps the name of the employer confidential, because through the industrial court, it's not the employer's name that goes through the court, it is the union. So it might be the big U, it might be the oil fields workers trade union, whichever trade union represents. So the party in the proceedings will always be the union as opposed to the individual employee. So it kind of keeps a little confidentiality there.
Yes.
Obviously, a strongly worded non-disclosure agreement can protect you as well. So you will get justice, and you will get to keep your name out of the court proceedings as well.
Okay, I want to talk about the level of evidence that is needed. Now, let's paint a picture. Let's say both of us work in an environment, and let's say, for instance, I have a crush on you, and I'm making advances at you. However, you are married and you're not interested, and because of that, I become malicious in my intentions, and I decide to make up a story and tell my boss that you've been sexually harassing me.
Yes.
What sort of evidence would I need to provide in order to create that picture and bring you down?
All right. Well, you use the right word there, that you've been malicious to do that. So most employers that actually have, sexual harassment policies will have a policy for if there is sexual harassment, and they will have a policy for if you bring false allegations of sexual harassment.
It's about proving this as well.
Right. So if you are bringing it, then you have to prove, because you are bringing the allegation. All right. So if the way you would prove it, you have to bring your witnesses. Okay. You have to bring any documentary evidence in terms of any text messages, any videos or anything like that. But if it is that it is shown that what you are saying is false, then on the other side of the flip side of the coin, then the other employee would have an action against you in what you call defamation. Because you would have, if we go with the scenario you are painting, the employee is a married person and that sort of thing, so he would be saying that you have defamed me, you have affected my marriage life, and that sort of thing. So he will have an action against you for defamation and malicious falsehood and that sort of thing. But in terms of the evidence, it's not like criminal evidence. It will be more on the balance of probabilities as opposed to beyond reasonable doubt, which exists in criminal law.
So what about like video footage? If I were to, put my phone down and record the incident taking place, would that stand in court?
Yes, yeah. Most judges allow it in terms of video footage in the civil arena. I don't know so much about the criminal arena, but in the civil courts, they do allow as much evidence as possible, so long as you can prove the authenticity of the video. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Now, if you suspect that you've been given different shifts or different work being passed on to you because of your gender, could this also be considered sexual harassment? So because I'm a female,
yes,
I'm just being given certain hours of work.
All right.
Do you think that also qualifies? Because I read somewhere that it actually different shifts, different work are being passed over for opportunities and promotions because of your gender.
They usually call that a quo. Right? So they categorize that as in terms of sexual harassment as quid pro quo.
So it is.
All right. So it is a form of sexual harassment, meaning that if you do this, I will give you this. All right. It's usually with someone in a higher level.
Okay.
So a manager might say, here, what? Go out on a date with me,
and I'll promote you.
Yeah. Right. So it's sort of like quid pro quo. And that is a form of sexual harassment.
Now, what are the usual steps that somebody takes in the event that they are being sexually harassed?
the usual steps, the first thing you tell the person to stop,
Right.
all right? If the person obviously does not stop, then you need to follow your company's grievance procedure. Most companies should have a grievance procedure. If they don't have a grievance procedure, you just complain to your superior, the person who you have to report to. Sometimes it is actually the person you have to report to that is the perpetrator of it.
Right.
You have to escalate it above them. But there must be some way to deal with the scenario amicably first before you seek independent legal advice and have to take it to the courts.
Wow.
All right? You always use the courts as a last resort. There's also the Equal Opportunities Commission as well. Now, the Equal Opportunities Commission, they prevent sexual discrimination, discrimination against sex. In the Act, it does not specifically say sexual harassment, but you can run an argument there that sexual harassment is a form of sexual discrimination. Because if it is that you have complained to your employer about being sexually harassed by a fellow employee, and then you are discriminated against based on that complaint, then you have an audience in the Equal Opportunities Commission. The Equal Opportunities Commission obviously is far less expensive than, say, the Civil High Court or the Industrial Court, and you actually get legal representation from the Commission. The role of the Commission is more to try to conciliate and try to investigate and recommend what to go forward.
Great, Mr. Farai Hove Masaisai, definitely a pleasure chatting with you. It's Hove and Associates. I'm sure you can be found on Facebook, etc.
Yes, yes.
Great, thank you so much. News is up next. Stay tuned.